Right now, there are 26 players sitting in the Real Madrid locker room, but mathematically and legally, only 25 lockers are allowed to be filled.
Right.
Someone is getting cut. I mean, the math simply does not work. But instead of slowing down to figure that out, the club is operating at a velocity that is, frankly, terrifying the rest of Europe.
So welcome to an exclusive Bernabeu Notes deep dive. We are treating the session as an urgent, highly classified briefing on the seismic movements happening right this very second.
Because the pace of operations behind closed doors right now is, honestly, it's staggering. We aren't looking at some methodical 3-year rebuilding plan. We are looking at a multi-front blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
Mourinho's reshaping the squad. The financial department is engineering a ruthless purge. And simultaneously, the club is waging a massive institutional war. So let's unpack this mission for you. We are going to break down Mourinho's foundational master plan, a transfer market hijacking that has left rivals just completely paralyzed, the glaring hypocrisy of the media circus surrounding the 2026 World Cup, and perhaps most explosively, the formal dossier Madrid has just dropped on UEFA's desk. Let's start right at the top. Bernardo Silva is officially a Real Madrid player.
It is a massive statement of intent. He arrives on a free transfer from Manchester City.
Which is insane.
Totally insane. It's a 2-year deal, keeping him here until 2028 with an optional 3rd year. And the private numbers show he will be earning somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 million euros net.
But the financials aren't even the most fascinating part of this, right? It's how it happened. I mean, this was a surgical strike.
A complete hijack. Because behind the scenes, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid genuinely believed they were in the driver's seat.
Oh, they thought it was done.
Exactly. They were preparing presentations, drafting contracts, figuring out their salary caps, right?
They do. Yeah.
A single direct phone call from Jose Mourinho. That one conversation instantly ended Silva's doubts. He essentially dropped the phone, packed his bags, and committed to the Bernabeu.
Okay, but look, I have to push back here, though. Because a romantic phone call is great, but let's look at the reality of the pitch. He is nearly 32 years old.
Yes.
He is a player who actively, famously, hates the gym.
Sure.
Are we seriously believing a 32-year-old who avoids the weight room is going to survive the high-intensity physical meat grinder of a Mourinho midfield? Or is this just, I don't know, a desperate temporary Band-Aid because he was free?
Well, I completely understand that concern, but you have to look at the club's private physiological tracking data.
Okay.
Yes, he's 32. Yes, he relies on the ball rather than the bench press. But his physical record is flawless. I mean, we are talking about only 8 minor muscle injuries in an entire decade of elite high-speed Premier League football.
Only 8?
8. In a decade. And he consistently runs 13 kilometers a single game.
So he doesn't survive on raw muscle.
Exactly. He survives and dictates games, really, on supreme football intelligence. When you process the field at his speed, you don't need to sprint into tackles because you are already standing exactly where the ball is going to be.
There is a reason they called him Messi back in the Benfica Academy. Right. I mean, he speaks 4 languages. He scans the field constantly. But tactically, where is he even fit? If Mourinho is bringing in a 32-year-old, he isn't asking him to run up and down the right wing chasing overlapping fullbacks for 90 minutes.
No, that would be a complete waste of his profile. The vision for Silva is in a much deeper role. Picture him sitting right next to a physical bulldozer, like a Federico Valverde or an Aurelien Tchouameni.
Right.
The modern game is defined by aggressive pressing. Silva's specific task is to be the pressure release valve. You give him the ball in a tight space with 3 guys closing in, and he calmly dictates the tempo, orchestrates the transition, and just calms everyone down.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Andres Nocioni.
The basketball player.
Exactly. When Chapo Nocioni joined the Real Madrid basketball team late in his career, people thought, oh, he's too old, past his physical prime.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Right. But he didn't come to outjump 20-year-olds. He came to be the emotional enforcer. He brought this gritty street dog mentality wrapped in elite talent, and he fundamentally changed the psychological toughness of that entire roster, eventually winning Finals MVP.
That is a brilliant comparison, actually, and it aligns perfectly with what the coaching staff expects from Silva. He brings veteran resilience to a midfield that really needs a ruthless edge, And his arrival is crucial because it officially completes phase 1 of Mourinho's foundational demands.
Right, the first phase.
Yeah, they secured Dumfries for the right side, Konate at the back, Cucurella on the left, and now Silva in the middle. The foundation is poured.
And that veteran resilience Silva brings is exactly what Mourinho's squad needs right now, because the outside noise is just deafening. Which leads us to the fallout from another one of those phase 1 pieces. The acquisition of Marc Cucurella has triggered a historic, almost comical meltdown in the Spanish media.
Oh, it's absurd.
And it is exposing a glaring double standard.
Well, the timeline of the hysteria is amazing. Real Madrid securely seals the Cucurella deal right as Spain makes their debut in the 2026 World Cup. Spain steps onto the pitch, looks entirely disjointed, and barely manages a draw against Cape Verde.
A completely embarrassing draw. And despite the performance metrics clearly showing Cucurella was Spain's most effective player on the pitch by a mile, the national media immediately goes into overdrive, claiming Real Madrid somehow destabilized the national team by signing a player in June.
I mean, the level of outrage is so disproportionate that it has actually become a running joke in the Madrid war room. The running gag internally is that FIFA is going to ban Madrid for 5 years or force the entire coaching staff to watch 10 consecutive Diego Simeone Atletico Madrid matches as psychological torture just for conducting standard summer business.
Right. Wait, help me understand this orchestrated circus, though. When Barcelona quietly drops 80 million euros to sign Anthony Gordon right before the tournament kicks off, it is framed as brilliant, decisive squad building.
Of course it is.
But when Madrid secures the left flank with a Spanish international, it is treated like national treason.
It is a staggering hypocrisy. While the media cries about Madrid ruining Spain's focus, other massive clubs are pillaging World Cup rosters, and you hear nothing but crickets. You mentioned Gordon to Barca.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich just dropped $55 million on Ismail Saibari, and they also snapped up Noel Brown. Tottenham paid over $50 million for Vanke. Freiburg signed Kisuke Goto straight out of the Japan camp.
Unbelievable.
Total silence from the critics.
It feels like a completely rigged ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the double standards aren't just in the press boxes, They are happening right there on the grass.
Oh, absolutely.
Look at the refereeing in this World Cup. Lionel Messi commits a blatant, unquestionable tackle from behind against Algeria. It is a textbook red card in any league on earth. But he avoids it completely. Why? Because the tournament economics require it.
Right. The business of the group stages protects its megastars. A World Cup without Messi in the knockout rounds loses tens of millions in viewership and sponsorships. Referees are acutely aware of the unwritten rules of tournament preservation.
So how does the club protect the players from this? Do they put out statements? Do they fight the media narratives?
They ignore it completely.
Really?
Yeah, they look at the raw data, and the data says Cucurella improves the squad. They don't have time to battle pundits because all of their energy is entirely focused on executing phase 2 of the rebuild.
And phase 2 requires blood. To bring in the next waves of elite talent, the club has to execute a surgical financial and tactical purge. Operation Exit is fully underway.
Like you said at the top of the deep dive, the mathematics demand it. They have 26 players. The registration limit is 25.
Right.
Multiple players are going to be sacrificed, not just to clear lockers, but to balance the books and clear the tactical runway for what Mourinho actually wants to build.
Let's look at the chopping block. First up, Álvaro Carreras. The club made a 60 million euro investment there.
Yeah.
But the private intelligence flagged some serious concerns about his off-pitch focus and daily habits. Now, there is a 50 million offer from Chelsea sitting right on the table. With Cucurella secured, Carreras has lost his guaranteed spot, right?
He has. And it is a ruthless correction, but a necessary one. If you aren't fully committed to the daily grind, Madrid will recoup the investment and move on.
And it isn't just the newer investments. Nico Paz has been making a lot of noise over at Como, publicly demanding a guaranteed superstar role if he's going to return to Madrid.
And the consensus from the coaching staff is unforgiving. If Nico Paz isn't willing to bleed for his spot, to fight every single day in training just to earn minutes, he simply does not have the cultural DNA required to succeed here. The directive is clear. Let him go for 80 million next summer.
It is a stark contrast to Franco Mastantuono.
Completely different.
The 18-year-old just received a direct, personal message from Mourinho telling him to stay for the preseason. He survives the purge because he showed the exact hunger they are looking for.
Yeah.
But hold on, let me stop you right here. Because the private reports suggest Aurelien Tchouameni is facing an 80 million exit opportunity. Selling Tchouameni.
It is on the table.
Wait, selling him isn't just losing a player. It's like taking the shock absorbers out of a car.
Mm.
Sure, you can use that $80 million to buy a faster engine, but the first time you hit a bump in a defensive transition against a team like City or Bayern, the whole chassis is going to rattle.
Ugh.
He is the defensive spine. Are we sacrificing our structure for a shiny new toy?
Tactically, you are right to be alarmed. I mean, he provides vital structural integrity. But you have to look at the contract mechanics. Tchouaméni only has a year and a half left on his deal.
Okay, but still.
In modern football economics, 18 months is the danger zone. The calculation behind closed doors is brutal but logical. If Mourinho and the technical staff do not view him as the unquestioned, untouchable pivot for the next 5 years, the club must sell him right now.
Wow.
If you wait 6 months, his value plummets by half. If you wait a year, he leaves for free.
So if they pull the trigger, they take that $80 million capital to aggressively fund the Phase 2 targets.
Exactly. That money is earmarked for a premium center back. They are looking at profiles like Nico Schlotterbeck, who has a highly attractive $50 million release clause, or Alessandro Bastoni or Ronald Araujo.
Huge names.
Huge. And the rest funds a new midfield engine specifically targeting someone like Enzo Fernandez or Matheus Branca. It is about reallocating resources to build a completely optimized machine.
But, building this ultimate optimized super team on the pitch is completely pointless if the game itself is rigged.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the most explosive piece of internal intelligence we have today. Alongside the roster rebuild, Real Madrid is waging a relentless institutional war off the pitch.
This is the culmination of years of mounting frustration. Real Madrid has officially submitted a devastating, highly detailed dossier directly to UEFA's disciplinary committee regarding the Caso Negrea.
For those who haven't tracked every detail of this, we are talking about the 8.4 million euros that Barcelona systematically paid to the vice president of the referees committee over a span of 17 years?
Yes, 17 years. And the directive from Madrid's executives is crystal clear right now. They are no longer waiting for the Spanish legal system to slowly grind through appeals and technicalities.
Yeah.
They're demanding immediate sports sanctions and restorative measures.
Wait, help me understand this, though. UEFA usually stays out of domestic sporting disputes unless it involves European competitions. How exactly is Madrid framing a 20-year-old domestic referee issue as a UEFA problem today?
Well, it is a brilliant legal maneuver, honestly. In the dossier, Madrid is officially classifying this as a systemic risk of maximum gravity to the integrity, neutrality, and unpredictability of the sport as a whole.
I see.
By framing it as a threat to the core product of football, they are attacking UEFA's bottom line directly.
And we have to explain the actual mechanism of the corruption alleged here, because the defense is often, well, you can't prove they handed cash to a referee in the tunnel before a specific game.
Exactly, and that is a deliberate misunderstanding of how power works. The dossier argues that paying the vice president isn't about buying a specific penalty on a specific Sunday.
Right.
It is about controlling the refereeing ecosystem. The vice president influences which referees get promoted to La Liga, which ones get relegated, and crucially, which ones receive international FIFA badges, which come with massive financial bonuses.
So it creates a systemic incentive.
Absolutely.
If a referee knows the man controlling his career and his paycheck is on the payroll of one specific club, there is an immense subconscious or conscious pressure to blow the whistle a certain way in 50-50 situations.
Precisely. And the dossier submitted to UEFA doesn't just outline the theory, it points to specific agonizing margins. Inside the presentation, Florentino Perez's team has highlighted 7 specific leagues they claim were mathematically altered by this systemic bias.
Let's group these, because the claims in this dossier lay out a 20-year timeline. First, you have what the club privately views as the era of point margins. We were talking about the 2004-05 season, where Madrid lost the league by just 4 points.
Right.
They view this as the birth of the Villarado, the era of institutional bias. And then you look at 2014-15 under Carlo Ancelotti, where the title is lost by 2 miserable points.
Just incredibly small margins where 1 or 2 influence matches dictate the entire season. Then the dossier shifts to what you could call the era of statistical anomalies. Take the 2009-10 season. Manuel Pellegrini's team achieved a historic 96 points, only to be beaten by Barcelona's 99, following highly questionable defining calls against Osasuna, Athletic Bilbao, and Sevilla that mathematically flipped the title.
And the very next year, 2010-11, Mourinho puts up 92 points, beaten by 96. According to Madrid's private metrics, That was the year of the infamous 13 documented errors by referee Clos Gomez.
Yes.
But the most glaring anomaly the dossier points to is 2015-16 under Zinedine Zidane. Madrid lost the league by a single agonizing point.
And look at the underlying penalty metrics of that specific season. Barcelona was awarded an absurd, unprecedented 19 penalties. Real Madrid received only 9.
19-9.
Exactly. The statistical probability of a 19-9 penalty disparity happening naturally between two teams with identical possession and attacking metrics is virtually zero.
Then the dossier brings it into the modern era, 2020-21. The scandalous, completely invented handball on Eder Militao against Sevilla that directly flipped the title in the final weeks.
Yep.
And even as recently as the 2024-25 season, a commanding 7-point lead was entirely erased by disastrous, targeted refereeing in the Espanyol, Atletico, and Osasuna matches, including that phantom penalty called on Tchouaméni.
When Madrid lays it all out thematically in this document, it paints a staggering pattern. They are presenting this to UEFA not as a grievance, but as a heavily documented indictment of a compromised ecosystem.
But I have to ask, UEFA is a massive, slow-moving political beast. Does UEFA actually have the teeth to sanction them, or is this just Madrid howling at the moon to make a point?
The genius of the document is that it corners UEFA. UEFA has the autonomous power to ban teams from the Champions League regardless of criminal convictions. They have done it before for match-fixing scandals in other leagues.
That's true.
Madrid is forcing UEFA to make a public choice, protect the integrity and financial credibility of European football, or be openly complicit in its corruption.
It is a masterclass in applying pressure. Okay, let's pull all of this together. We are looking at a club moving at terrifying velocity. They have hijacked Bernardo Silva in a covert strike to add veteran intelligence to the midfield.
Right.
They are laughing off the World Cup media circus while their rivals scramble. They are ruthlessly purging players like CARRERAS and potentially Tchouaméni just to fund an even more devastating Phase 2. And simultaneously, they're taking a legal flamethrower directly to UEFA's front door to reclaim 20 years of history they believe was manipulated.
It's a comprehensive strategy of total warfare. On the pitch, in the transfer market, and in the courtroom. Mourinho is building the tactical machine, and the executive board is clearing the institutional path.
Which brings me to one final, heart-pounding piece of intelligence for you to chew on. As if all of this wasn't enough, there are whispers that Florentino Perez is operating entirely in the shadows, preparing a massive, market-shattering Galactico signing of Bombazo that exists entirely outside of Mourinho's Phase 1 and Phase 2 plans.
A completely isolated parallel operation.
Exactly. So I leave you with this. If Mourinho gets absolutely everything he wants, the midfield general's the defensive anchor is the tactical perfection, and Florentino still drops a world record Bombazo right on top of it, who is the mystery Galactico, and how will the rest of Europe even pretend to compete? Keep your eyes open, because the Bernabeu never sleeps.